Varley is a vice president at Crestview Strategy based in the UK and joins us from London, England tonight. Nick, what ultimately led Truss to resign? Where did she go wrong here?
In lots of different directions, I think is the honest answer. Maybe it's quite hard to say that there's just one particular thing that went wrong. I think broadly, there were probably two things that caused the immediate crisis. So first off, the mini budget that she launched in late September, it was an attempt to upend how we tax and spend in this country. And the problem is that it upended how we tax. So it attempted to reduce pretty significantly the levels of taxation on better off people in the UK without really credibly having a plan for what we do about spending. You can't just tax less and keep spending at very high rates. So the markets exposed that particular approach. And it was one that, truthfully, I'm not sure the Prime Minister had a huge amount of support for among her parliamentary colleagues, or is it caucus, as you guys would call it. So she didn't have caucus with her. Then the second thing is the scenes that we have seen over the last week, which is just complete political chaos. And, you know, I would submit, Nicole, that in the UK, we've seen quite a lot of political chaos in the last few years. But the scenes of the last week between government U-turns, resignations from cabinet, it's just been too much. And last night in Parliament, there was some really serious fallout, and it was just too much.
So where does the Conservative Party go from here in the UK? How do they go about rebounding from this?
I think broadly, most voters in the UK would say that we've had too much politics in the last 6 or 7 years. Since the EU, since the Brexit referendum, we've had David Cameron resign, we had Theresa May in the Brexit wars for 3 years, we've had Boris Johnson, we obviously now, for a mercifully short period, had Liz Truss. I think that being calm is where all political parties in the UK need to go, including ultimately the Conservative Party, for the remainder of the time of this Parliament before the next general election. So I think what Conservative MPs here in the UK are going to be looking at now is who is the calmest leader who can take the heat out as much as possible out of our politics so we can all just exhale.
Well, the shortest serving leader certainly saw a lot in her 45 days, including 2 monarchs. Now we'll have to see what happens next.
Yes, and I think that we will know who the new Prime Minister is potentially as early as Monday evening UK time next week. It's just been announced by the Parliamentary Caucus Committee, who run Conservative Party leadership elections, that on Monday late afternoon UK time, we should have it down to the final 2. And if I were to speculate, I think that once it is down to the final 2 potential new leaders, a deal will be done in the Houses of Parliament, and whoever is second, when the members of Parliament vote for their caucus leader, will ultimately stand down to make way for whoever comes first to take over smoothly. I think the Conservative Parliamentary Party is starting to get the message that what we need as a country is to exhale and to take a breath, and the Conservative Party appears to want to facilitate that with a simple, smooth and short handover of power.
Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.